Ayun. Good evening, morning po. Ayan. Good morning dyan sa mga kasyalala Dela Lu. Ano na mangyari sa ating bansa, mga kasyalala, mga Delalu? Ang dami mga nagtatanong sa akin, paano ba yan? Saan ka ba nakahanap ng sitwasyon kung saan? Anong bansa ka nakahanap ng sitwasyon kung saan yung vice presidente mo publicly sinasabi niya nagfa-fantasize siya mag-behead, puguran yung presidente. Kaya talagang medyo nasa legal deep dark waters na po tayo at pag-usapan natin shortly yan, the Department of Justice as we speak is studying legal consequences ng ginagawa ni Sara Duterte. Talagang awanan talagang. Ako para sa akin, mas worried ako kay Sara, hindi yung legal yung political basis to impeach her. Papunta na tayo sa exciting part. At the same time, buya ka siya, mga kasama. As expected, si Digong, purong yabang, purong pakulo. But next thing you know, medyo takot-takot magpakita sa Quadcom. At the same time guys, meron din tayong update naman dito pagdating sa Senado. Ex-DDS, let's call him for what he is. Pa-DDS ni Digong yan, Senate President pa ng Digong yan, kasama sa PDP Laban ni Digong yan. And then mamaya yung biglang iba na inisip nila maging presidente, medyo nagwatak-watak na. So ngayon, position na bilang medyo independent, medyo opposition yan. Si Coco Pimentel, outgoing Senator Coco Pimentel is about to take over, no? Siya yung na-designate to take over itong Senate hearing and Senate investigations naman ukol sa Rodrigo Dutertes drug war. So, sorry na lang Bato de la Rosa, sorry na lang Bong G. Yan. Sorry na lang si Mr. Urge. Um, Hindi na kayo pwede. Ibang gusto ni Mamshi, Boy Eyebrows. Ang gusto naman niya ang isang ex-DDS, aka opposition minority na ngayon bigla para pag-usapan at titignan ng mabuti para magkaroon ng masinsinan na pagsusuri doon sa mga kababalagan. Ay, sorry, wala namang kababagalan. Sabi nga ni Bong G, malaking serbisyo sa bayan na ginawa ng dating administration. Interestingly though, nakita natin, eto na naman tong government natin. Iba na naman ang sinasabi sa ICC. Biglang meron hanash na naman ng DOJ na actually pagdating sa ICC, it's ultimately up to President Marcos. So, ay nako, ay nako, ay nako. So actually, after all, relax lang kayo dyan. Papunta tayo sa exciting part now. If you want to get to know about yung more of the legalities, implications ng ICC, there's actually a debate around that. So kanina lang si former Justice Panginiban, my colleague sa Philippine Daily Inquirer, um, shared his views sa isang column kung saan medyo skeptical siya that the Quadcom actually will set the tone or set the predicate or facilitate itong pagpasok ng ICC sa Pilipinas. So, just to be clear about it, sabi ni Artemio Panganiban, those using ICC prosecutor Karim Khan to proceed, those urging ICC Karim Khan to proceed with his investigation into crimes against humanity committed during the Duterte years may be clapping too soon. Alright? At the same time, if napakinggan niyo yung interview naman natin with former Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, ang position naman niya dito is, no, actually, in theory, pwede sila mag-complement. Although, there is some tension because sabi nga natin, yung ICC pwede lang pumasok under the principle of complementarity. So kung domestic institutions are supposedly doing their job, then what's the need for ICC to come in? But, as I said, dito mo makita talaga yung kahinaan ni Sara Duterte. Dito mo makita talaga na yung mga ginagawa ng mga Sara Duterte, as our good friend Edom Manana says, the method is madness in the sense that you're not sure how exactly this is really gonna help the case of Duterte. If anything, lumalala na talaga yung kanilang political position. Kasi, sabi ko nga, yung ating mga ka-DDS na kaibigan, pwede nila interpret yung mga pinaggagawa ng mga Duterte, pwede sila tumambling, pwede sila mag-acrobatics, pwede sila mag-spin doctor, pwede sila mag-twister kung anong gusto nila. O, tanongin niyo si Kaloy, yung mga ginagawa ng... But at the end of the day, it's not about how the base, the shrinking base spins it. It's not about how the paid propaganda, volunteers are twisting and contorting themselves, yung mga contortionists na yan. Ang issue kasi dito is, tutulong ba ito sa political capital ng mga Dutertes? Considering na effectively existential crisis ang hinaharap nila. Now, for me, balikan natin yung statement ng DOJ. Because the other day, if you guys remember, ang argument ko dito is, when it comes to the Philippines, I'm beginning to reconsider yung sinasabi ko na the Dutertes and Marcoses are the two most powerful dynasties in the Philippines. Um, Actually, last week, may pinost ako kung saan sinabi ko, sa aking palagay, hindi na second most powerful ang mga Dutertes sa Pilipinas. Unang-una, nag-ambisyon sila na sila pa rin ang numero uno. I mean, libre naman mag-ambisyon. Lalo kung ututo ka. Ay, sorry. Lalo kung, ano ka, how do I put it? Talagang maganda yung ano mo, intention mo sa buhay, gano'n. Delu Delalu, medyo delusional. No. I think the Dutertes really thought they're gonna be the number one regardless of who's the president at si BBM will be essentially a puppet. And yun ang problema. They underestimated BBM. And then when they should have realized na na-underestimate nila si BBM at kailangan nila ayus-ayusin yung sarili nila, lumala pa. Diba? They kept on digging their own political grave. Now, my contention is that actually the Dutertes are not even number two. I don't know, they're probably barely top 10 political families. Para sa akin, isa sa mga contenders for the second most powerful political dynasties in the Philippines is Remulla, the House of Remulla. First of all, the House of Remulla is in charge of a vote-rich, very vote-rich province. The House of Remulla has been able to establish relationship with multiple administrations, relatively stable relationship with multiple administrations. And more importantly, as we speak, wait lang, as we speak, they're not one but two members of the House of Remulla currently in the cabinet. And two of the most important positions in cabinet. Isa dyan, yung position ng Department of Interior Local Government, DILG. Very, very important yan. At pangalawa, of course, yung Department of Justice. So the Remulla brothers have very good relationship with BBM. They had great relationship with Dutertes. They're very good in navigating from one administration to the other. And they come from Batangas. They have a base. They have a solid base, as in literally established base, right? Now, yes, of course. As I've mentioned, if there's one family that is in a position to surpass all of them, including the House of Marcos, is the Tulfo, is the House of Tulfo. All right. But as of now, isa lang Tulfo nasa Senado. Um, so isa lang yung sa kanila ay nasa national position. And Tulfos, unlike the Romullas, do not have their own, like provincial base, vote rich base, etc. They operate more like national celebrities, right? Kasi for you to be a powerful dynasty, talaga dapat may base ka eh. Meron kang strategic depth, kumbaga. Um, meron kang sariling talaga malaking probinsya and all of that. So the only way the Tulfos could actually directly challenge that is if they become this kind of a meta dynasty. Meta meaning they no longer follow etong mga basic ingredients ng isang powerful dynasty, which is, multiple simultaneous positions of office occupied by one family. Medyo papunta na dyan ang Tulfos. Pangalawa, you have a vote-rich and very well-resourced provincial base. Essentially, meron kang machine that you can leverage. Some would say vote bank. I don't want to go that far. That you can leverage during elections, diba? And third, you have equidistant and more or less stable relationship with all different major players in politics. No, if you look at it, the Remulias tick all of the boxes. Absolutely tick all of the boxes. No, the Tulfos, medyo wala pa sila. Medyo wala pa sila. But I think if three Tulfos become a reality in the Senate, and then one of the Tulfos remains as a top contender for president and takes over the Malacanang, then we can talk about the House of Tulfos. The Villars are one of the richest, although nalampasan na sila ng House of Razon. Nalampasan sila ni Razon, Enrique Razon, who I think is the most um naalala ko si Salieri. Napanood niyo yung what's that movie? Mozart, Amadeus, yung si Salieri. Siya talaga naalala ko ba nakita ko si Razon. Anyway, si Razon is the most, let's just say, deft in navigating the Philippine political economy na lang sasabihin natin. No, but no, the Villars, yes, they have two in the Senate, but ang kutob ko, kutob ko medyo mahirapan si Camille Villar. I don't think it will be as easy for Camille Villar as it has been for Kuya, for Daddy, for Mommy. Yan. So, gana. Tsaka si Mommy, pabalik na sa local politics, LGU politics. So, yeah, Las Piñas, Paranaque, you can say yun ang malakas-malakas ang mga lakas-lakas ang mga Villars. But I don't think. So, again, we can have a long debate about this. Pero sa akin palagay, the Remulias have a good shot at being now the second most powerful political dynasty in the Philippines. No? Now, I won't underestimate yung sila, ano yan, sila, ibang klase. Nakita niyo yung election sa, sorry, Cavite, no? Cavite yung, of course, Cavite, yung Batangas. Nakita niyo sa Batangas. Diyos ko. Kulang na lang, bati yung bata. Sige, ikaw na, nasa City Hall, takbuhan na natin lahat ng mga position dyan. Ibang klase talaga. Ay, 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 ay. Anyways, guys, pag-usapan natin ito. Pag-usapan natin. So, why am I talking about this? What I'm saying is that nagkaroon ng na-reset yung pecking order, right? Panahon ni Digong kasi Beijing order, Peking order. So kung sino ang pinakamalapit sa China, kung pinakamay amo ng China, yun ang number one, no? Kaya yun, umangat-angat yung mga katulad ni Alice ko and what have you. But now, hindi na yung Peking order. It's not Peking, Peking. It's really Peking. It's like Pecking, Peking order. And under this new Peking order, the Remulias are really a big factor. And that tells you why siguro ito mga Remulias who now control or are in charge of two of the most important positions in the government, no? Particularly with DOJ kasi sobrang mahalagang DOJ ngayon with all of itong mga kaso laban sa mga Dutertes, the shadow of ICC, and also very importantly, also DILG, which is like the little president. Pinag-usapan natin yan with Edom Manana. If you are DILG, you are really like the little president. So, balikan natin ito, no? So, against that backdrop, so na-layout natin po yung big picture. Yung big picture ng itong resetting of the hierarchy, no? The pecking order. Pagdating sa mga dynasties. Against that backdrop, you shouldn't be surprised na the one cabinet member, or at least the one family that has come strongest against what Sara Duterte has said, is a Remulla. And of course, it also happens, and it's quite convenient, that we're also talking to someone whose very job is to make sure that protektahan dapat ang ating Pangulo pagdating sa mga legal issues and anything that has to do with rule of law. But if you want to talk about law and order, pasok din yan sa Remullas because DILG naman ang hawak ng kapatid niya. Now, this is very important. Marami nagtanong sa akin, ano ba na yan? Paano yan? Dahil, Sara Duterte has done something crazy, right? Alam niyo naman, meron tinatawag na parliamentary immunity, meron sovereign immunity. So, kunyari, kung ikaw presidente, habang presidente ka, yung mga ginagawa mo na related sa trabaho mo, you're immune from suit. And in fact, that immunity is almost absolute. At sabi ko, ang pinag-usapan namin ni Senator Laila de Lima back in the day. For senators, they have immunity while they're in session. So long as the things that they're doing are relevant to their job, and more importantly, hindi ito heinous crimes. We're not talking about them like going down EDSA and shooting down someone and killing someone, right? So there are levels of immunity for different officials. And those immunities are tethered dun sa mandato nila bilang elected officials. And the whole notion of immunity, and you can also look at the recent US Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity. The whole point of immunity is to make sure, no, na hindi distracted ang isang commander-in-chief, and to a lesser degree yung mga ibang elected officials with potential private vulnerabilities or future vulnerabilities in a way that undermines their ability to exercise their duty, 'di ba? So, yun. So, syempre, kung senador ka or special president ka, marami kang babanggain. Marami kang kailangan gawin na may implikasyon yan. It could lead to unintended consequences or could open you up to suit. So, if you don't have a certain degree of immunity, 'di ba? Baka magdadalawang isip ka or hindi mo gawin tama yung trabaho mo, or in the case of the United States, the reason of the Supreme Court, at least the conservative justices who voted in favor of it, was that you may also open up a Pandora's box of future presidents always filing cases against ex-presidents based on political expediency, etc. So, hahanapin lang nila, anong mga ginawang mali yung mga dating presidente na ayaw natin, iayarin natin siya. So, you just want to end that cycle. You want to end that cycle of retrospective, retrogressive legal suits from one administration to another administration. Anyway, mahaba yan. Feel free to check the US Supreme Court ruling on this. Obviously, there are many people are very critical of this, and especially yung mga minority, all the liberal justices in the US were extremely, extremely astounded by the ruling, and they said that actually this essentially immunizes not only Donald Trump but any of the future presidents. It could be another Donald Trump from doing crazy stuff, including by stretch of imagination. You can imagine actually assassinating a political rival and then justifying that as an exercise of your duty as a commander in chief. Now, that's the U.S. Supreme Court ruling. But in the case of the Philippines, there are many opinions on this. But when it comes to the Department of Justice, eto ayon kay Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, no, yung mga sinabi ni Vice Presidente about exhuming yung katawan ni dating diktador na Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sa West Philippine Sea ay potentially violation ito ng revised penal code, no. Sa isang panayam niya nung weekend, sabi ni Remulla, talagang nagtaka siya. Sabi niya, desecration of the dead yan eh. May violation sa revised penal code yan. Hindi rin nakakatuwa yon. That's desecration of the dead. That's violation of the revised penal code. That's also not funny. It does not speak well of a sane and clear thinking person. Iba na yan. Non compos mentis of unsound mind na yung pinanggagalingan. It doesn't speak well of a person as a sane and clear thinking. I'm just fixing the translation. That's different. Non-compos mentis of unsound mind, of where it was coming from. Well, um, it's not like Sara did it, right? Hindi naman niya dinesecrate yung body. She was just saying na she threatened, or siguro nag-banter lang siya. So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's see how this is gonna go. At a press conference on October 18 kasi si Duterte, di ba? Sara sabi niya, once she warned si Aimee na kung tuloy-tuloy itong mga political attacks na yan, talagang, one time I told Senator Aimee, if you don't stop, I'll dig up your father and throw him into the West Philippine Sea. One of these days, I'll go there, take your father's body and throw it into the West Philippine Sea. I don't think Aimee responded. Now, obviously, if you're Duterte side, you'll say, first of all, this is just a conversation. Hindi naman niya ginawa mismo. And pangalawa, this is you could say it's a figure of speech, or you could say it's an indirect way of reminding the Dutertes, reminding the Marcoses dun sa utang na loob nila, or supposedly utang na loob nila sa mga Dutertes, right? So remember, back in the day, si Digong oversaw yung paglibing ni dating diktador na si Marcos Sr. dun sa libingan ng mga bayani. At this case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court, okay, hindi niya basahin yan. Ang problema rin kasi dito is if you look at it, yung Article 353 of the Revised Penal Code, which defines the crime of libel, can also refer to a disrespect to someone who's dead. So some people are also looking at another angle kasi hindi naman na-specify ni Remulla anong specifically sa revised penal code. So some people are looking at Article 353. A libel is public and malicious imputation of a crime or of a vice or defect, real or imaginary, or any act, omission, condition, status, or circumstance tending to cause dishonor, discredit, or contempt of a natural or judicial person, or to blacken the memory of one who's dead. To blacken the memory of one who's dead. So, sa ilalim ng Article 353 of Revised Penal Code, medyo, ano yan, alanganin yung sinabi ni Sara Duterte. But again, of course, the Duterte side could say, hindi naman, ano yan, hanash lang naman yan, it's just a figure of speech, medyo Duterte exaggeration, hindi naman niya ginawa literally, wala naman prueba na literally pumunta siya doon para babastusin yung bangkay nung matanda or mga ganun, di ba? So, Article 309 naman of Civil Code also defines yung itong liability of damages of any person who disrespects the dead. Quote, any person who shows disrespect to the dead or wrongfully interferes with the funeral shall be liable to the family of the deceased for damages, material, and moral. So, I think may konting palusot yung mga Dutertes to say na, no. I mean, really, Sara didn't mean it. She was just saying that, I mean, pinapaalala lang niya, diba, in her own Duterte, unhinged way, exaggerated way na may utang na loob kayo sa amin. Na yung tatay niyo nandyan sa libingan ng mga bayani dahil sa tatay ko, essentially. Diba? So, maya naman kayo, huwag niyong kalimutan yan. But, But again, yun nga, pwede nila sabihin, wala naman talagang established intention, wala naman silang concretely ginawa, yung mga palusot nilang ganun, right? Yeah, joke lang yan, as usual sasabihin nila yan. But for me, honestly, yung mas malala, yung Game of Thrones Red Wedding na sinabi niya. Game of Thrones Red Wedding na sinabi niya. Ayan na naman tayo. Eh. This one is a bit crazy. Now, katulad ng sinabi ng mga ibang followers natin. Kaya nga gusto ko yung mga comment sections and all eh. Sige na kahit yung mga trolls minsan, ano lang eh, ginagood time lang natin yung mga yun. No, but honestly, tama yung sinasabi ng iba eh. Napaka-stricto yung batas natin sa mga masamang biro. Right? So give you a good example. Make a bomb joke. Go to any public establishment or an airport for that matter and make a bomb joke. Yari ka. Yari ka talaga. So actually, napaka-stricto yung mga batas natin and for good reasons and in any kind of major democracy pagdating dito sa masamang biro, 'di ba? Masamang biro, right? So, imagine this. You have Sara Duterte openly talking about her fantasies of beheading the president of the Philippines, right? Medyo next level na. Medyo next level na yun, guys. I don't know how on earth, right? How on earth is that okay? So yung isa pa yung sabihin, nagdrama lang, nag-exaggerate na. But this one, did she really have to go and say this thing? Right? This is crazy. Diba? So you can look at many many cases out there whereby yung mga ibang tao nag-comment, nag-gano'n, nangyari sila. Yes, tama. Again, yan gusto ko sa comment sections. Naalala niyo yung panahon ng pandemic. Napaka-stricto yung mga batas natin. Remember there was a netizen na said something about Duterte kasi galit na galit siya sa mga COVID-19 restrictions. And then immediately na-arrest siya. Ito, hanapin natin yan. I just wanted to find. Naalala niyo yan, guys, yung na cyber libel nung time hindi ko. Ang daming mga netizen ay talagang nangyari. In particular, of course, yung pinakasikat, ito yung case nung yung teacher, di ba? Na nag-offer daw siya ng 50 million pesos bounty. Tingnan niyo naman talaga tong bansa natin, di ba? Yun ang sinasabi ko eh. Pag ordinaryong tao magsasalita, napaka-stricto ang batas. In fact, some would say it's not even yung batas na yung stricto, it's the way na parang mino-weaponize yung batas. I always say, hindi batas mismo ang dapat titignan mo sa mga katulad natin bansa eh. Kasi the law is, first of all, can be interpreted many way. There are many ways to approach it. But alam naman natin sa Pilipinas, wala naman talagang rule of law eh. Kasi ang rule of law po, exactly, selective justice. Ang rule of law po is uniform, predictable application of the law, or i.e., let's just say, proper interpretation of the law to everyone, regardless of position. Yun po ang rule of law. So, whether prime minister ka, whether ordinaryong tao ka, walang ano yan, walang exceptions yan. Sa Pilipinas, hindi naman ganun eh. Ang batas ay ginagamit lang ng mga malalakas laban sa mga mahihina. And then, of course, once in a while, there's kind of a proper application of law just to create, to create, ayan na, na-hurt na itong mga, medyo parang, may budget na naman kayo ah. May budget na naman mga trolls natin dyan ah. Ito, teacher. Alam niyo yung 50 million bounty. I wanna just show you the picture kasi kawawang kawawa yung teacher na yan. Eh. I mean, it was bad joke. I don't agree with it. Uh, but, guys, imagine pa noon pa ng, diba? Ito, diba, kaagad inarestohan ng NBI. Ito, tingnan nyo naman, oh. Of course, hindi tayo sang-ayon sa ginawa nung guro na yan. Para sa akin, hindi maganda na magbiro ka ng ganyan. I mean, ako, galit na galit ako sa mga kababalaghan at saka sa mga lahat ng mga irregularities, mga kaewanan, kasyungan ng ginawa ni Digong, especially in time ng COVID na sobrang late mag-impose ng restrictions, tapos na nag-impose ng restrictions, over strict naman, pinatay ang economy, pagdating sa mga Chinese, mga ganon, napaka lax lang niya, pero biglang pagdating sa atin, kawawa naman tayo. So, what I'm saying guys is, eto yan, si teacher Ronel Mas, no? Bata lang to, 25-year-old lang, public school teacher from Masinloc, Zambales, no? Napayak agad yun nung kinuha siya kasi doon sa Twitter sabi niya nag-offer siya ng 50 million bounty to anyone who could kill President Duterte. Nag-apologize naman siya, he just went, pang ano lang naman, it was just an expression. Remember, ang context ng bounties, remember yung si Digong parati siya nag-offer ng bounty. So it was a kind of a satire, but it went really off the rails, no. um so in part, ito yung sinabi niya sa May 5, 2020, no, I will give 50 million reward kung sino makakapatay kay Duterte, no to ABS-CBN shutdown. 6 days later, narestuhan na siya ng NBI. So nangyari siya kaagad. And as an information was filed against him for sedition. Akalain mo, sedition kaagad ang kaso sa kanya. How at least naman yung Olongapo City Branch Judge si Richard Paradesa quashed the information charge sheet against Mas, saying he was illegally arrested. His subsequent confession to media that he's the owner of the said did not cure the anyway. There were multiple cases filed against this person. But yun nga eh, I mean, sobrang kinawawa tong tao na to for making really a bad satirical point. You don't joke about those things. Pero imagine mo, batis sedition, final sa kanya. And this is what I'm saying here. Pagdating sa mga Dutertes talaga, they keep on getting away with it. They keep on getting away. And this is the, ay, sorry. Nagbuntik na naman. Muntik na naman tayo nag-friendly fire. Ang inaaway mo yung okay, sorry, Sara. Sir Jose, buti hindi ko natuloy itong ban na ito. Now, but anyways, going back to this. So, we see how hindi lang selective, but sobrang unfair or exaggerated or weaponized yung application of law when it serves the purpose of Dutertes. No? So nung nasa poder sila, grabe naman yung application ng law nila. The cyber libel here, cyber libel there, sedition here, sedition there. Niyari nila Rappler, Marias, etc. Tuloy naka-award ng right and left. No? But now, look at what the Dutertes have been doing. January of this year, Duterte, the father, comes out and openly, essentially, calls for people power revolt against BBM. Right, insults the president, says he's a cocaine addict. He calls on the armed forces of the Philippines to withdraw support for him. That's crazy. Few months later, meron ng mga medyo may usok-usok na at may taga-military si General Bronner sinabi na actually may mga coup plot, although it's not by active servicemen, it's by some of the ex-military officials among other things. And then now you have Sara Duterte coming all the way and fantasizing openly about beheading the president, or saying that she was fantasizing about this kasi nga toxic na, 'di ba? Yung mga ganon, 'di ba? So for me, medyo next level na yan. So as Remulla puts it, sabi ko nga buti na lang di siya tumakbo ng presidente. Baka nanalo pa. Dapat malaman natin talaga what she's made of during the 2-hour press conference last October kasi 'di ba? Yun ang sinabi ni Sara Duterte. Now, I'm not extremely impressed by the response of the DOJ because I think especially the joke about beheading the president, um actually hindi nga joke eh, 'di ba? Sabi niya she's fantasizing about it and then publicly saying it. Medyo medyo next level 'yan. Medyo next level 'yan. So, I think this is where I and Ronald have very similar views. There has to be a strong response here because the Dutertes keep on crossing a red line and then they realize, wala palang consequence eh. Walang immediate consequence. Now, again, as I said, you can make this Machiavellian argument that yes, timing lang si BBM, pero yun, yayariin naman nila yung mga Dutertes dahil may Quadcom, dahil there's ICC, blah, blah. We'll talk about that very shortly. But para sa akin, hindi. I think, okay, it's fine that the cabinet member comes out and openly says, pag-aralan natin kung anong legal implications nito. You have young congressmen like Congressman Adyong, for instance, among others, coming out and very, forcefully questioning itong behavior ng vice president. That's good. That's all fine and dandy. But ang problema kasi dito is yung Malacanang mismo at saka yung presidente mo mismo is not drawing the line. You have to draw the line. Yan na naman. Ito yung pinaka... I mean, who would have thought, no, na ang maging problema natin under BBM is not over-exercise of political will, but actually under-exercise of political strength or decisiveness. It is really, it's not good. Kasi, sa akin palagay, if in a normal democratic situation, yung style ni BBM would work. Siguro sabihin natin, kalaban mo Lenny Robredo or Risa or isang matinong tao or whatever. Sige na nga, kahit si Trillanes, sabihin natin, yung style ni BBM would still work eh. But you're now against, the Dutertes who are flouting and desecrating and demeaning and disrespecting every fundamental norm in our political system, not to mention violating pillars of our constitution. So para sa akin medyo malabo 'yan. So ito threatening to desecrate So I think there has to be a strong response from President Marcos Jr. He has to say something about this. And itong Amy Marcos na napakatapang-tapang si Ay at saka si Mi na maraming marites, may marites na movie, mga ganun. Dapat magsalita siya. Kasi binabastos ngayon yung dating presidente. 'Di ba? Yung mga unang presidente. 'Di ba? Again, no fan of dictators. Just because I'm, from solid north doesn't mean na, No, but for me, medyo bastusan na yan. Medyo bastusan na yan. It's one thing to say it off the record. It's another to say it openly. You're almost telling the other side na pwede ko kayo ganyan-ganyan lang. So this is what I'm talking about, guys. Laking problema talaga ito. And also joking about beheading the president, man, that's crazy. That's really crazy. That's next level. Kaya sabi ko, kung ako yung staff ni Madam, medyo, alam mo yung yung picture ng Simpsons family, yung slowly nagagaling siya sa grass, yung papasok siya sa grass, yung gano'n. yan ang gagawin ko. Maghahanap ka ng ibang trabaho. So going back to this, if you look at it, ang usapan kasi dito talaga yung yung dignidad ng ating ang opisina ng presidente, dignidad ng ating demokrasya. So from January, ngayon October na malapit na matapos ang taon, ganyan pa rin si BBM. He's not drawing the line himself. at the end of the day, the hammer should come down from the president. You're called the commander in chief. I'm all for being above the fray and being statesman-like and all of that. Pero ito meron kayong isang pamilya dito, including yung vice-presidente, right? Who's openly, right, flouting every norm, if not key laws in our country. And, tingnan nyo naman, guys. Favorite ko talaga tong pictures na to. Chico! The eyes, Chico! They don't lie. Grabe naman yung mga comments. Natawa ka sa Chico. The eyes, Chico. They never lie. Like, I mean, come on. As I said, this is not good for Sara too because, alam mo na, di ba? Hindi lang siya object of ridicule from Shimanat to Chiconat. But, I mean, obviously, this just gives more ammunition to those who want to impeach her. Nevertheless, it's not also looking good for Marcos if he doesn't say anything. Kasi ang response lang ng Malacanang is no comment. You know, I mean, if you wanna play nice and all, andyan na si Ma'am Lenny, okay? If you already have people who are nice and all of that, BBM, you have to be the president, commander-in-chief, all right? Let's just be absolutely clear about this. This is not normal. This is not okay. And you might set a very dangerous you might set a very dangerous precedent. Chico, Chico, ¿qué pasa? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás, Chico? No, no, I mean, guys, look at this. Mga Chico, mga Chicanos, mga Chicanos, mga Chicanos, let me tell you this. Akalain mo, isang heartbeat away lang ito from being our president. Yung sinabi ni Ramulya ay kulang. Yung sabi niya, buti hindi tumakbong presidente, baka nanalo pa. Ako naman parang, sir, actually, vice president siya. So, anything happens to BBM, hindi naman kailangan na Game of Thrones all the way. Actually, siyang magiging presidente. So, hindi pa tayo, Chico, Chico, ¿qué pasa? Chico, ¿qué pasa? This will be our president, guys. This will be our president. If something happens to BBM, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, marami akong proposal dyan. Siguro yung isang proposal, gawin niyo yung ginawa ni Saddam ba yan? Yung may mga double siya. Just in case. Si Putin, di ba? Yung mga I'm just saying, guys. One solution is, gawa kayo ng mga doubles. Just in case, di ba? God forbid. Pangalawa, well, imagine that. For until 2028, ito, itong pwede mag-replace sa'yo. Para maawa ka naman kay BBM. I mean, guys, ganito. I'm sure marami dito hindi bumoto kay BBM. At as I said, I'm no fan of either dictators or science of dictators. But, I mean, hindi masaya kung ito yung naka-shadow lang sa'yo. Naalala niyo yung debate ni Trump at saka Clinton in 2016? Yung nagsasalita si Clinton, tapos si Trump nandun lang siya, umiikot lang siyang ganun, gumaganon si Trump dun sa likod, gumaganon na. Imagine, BBM having 4 more years of this as his potential replacement. That's not good. That's very distracting. And imagine, kung 2024 pa lang, ito na mga sinasabi ni Sara, papunta na tayo sa midterm elections, napakalakas ang administration, all the resources, all the momentum. Imagine kung lame duck years na ni BBM 2025 to 2026, 2027. Ano pang pwede sabihin ng mga to? Now, obviously, in a rational world, pwede mo sabihin, hindi na nila atakin si BBM kasi palaos na, hindi mo na kailangan. But, you never know, right? You never know with these people, right? So, I'm just saying, Chico, just make sure you want 4 more years of this, breathing down the neck of BBM. I don't know. I don't know that's good for the president or for the country for that matter. So, as I said, she's just laying the predicate for her own impeachment. I mean, ang daming grounds again, from confidential funds, irregularities sa DepEd, past potential involvement sa sa war on drugs ni Digong while she was the mayor of Davao. Kasi syempre, as mayor of Davao, she was the chief executive of Davao and she was executing war on drugs. Ang dami pwedeng tignan eh. And then, eto na, Chico. Chico. So, I'm just having a hard time seeing 4 more years of this. And then imagine every 2 months, 3 months, 3 weeks, kung ano sasabihin ni Sara Duterte. Now, anyway, as I said, BBM, di ka Lenny, okay? So you don't have to be nice and all with everyone. And Lenny is not a public official right now. And Lenny's Lenny. Lenny has her own thing. But again, going back to this, by the way, guys, please, please lang. Kasi ganito. Ito So nakita ko ito kanina lumabas after yung meeting ni Mark Oleta at saka ni Lenny Robredo. Okay? So, obviously, over the past 3 weeks, nakita natin Lenny Robredo having pictures with all of these different officials. Let's talk about Lenny kasi I keep on saying yung malumanay, mabait, and I'm just saying, Marcos is the commander-in-chief. He has to draw the line here. Binastos yung kanyang ama, binastos yung mga na diktador, binastos yung Oh yeah, I'm being factual here. Yeah, dictatorship. Yeah, unlike I don't know, you're living in some cave and don't know what dictatorship means. But going back to these guys, and then be naman original, diba? Let Lenny be Lenny, right? And then BBM, do your thing, be the president, be decisive, do something special, all right? Now going back to this, so may mga napasalita, sabi niya bakit ganon, she's meeting everyone. And ako naman in fairness, sabi ko nga, okay, fair naman tayo. When facts change, you'll also reconsider your perspective. So, okay, in fairness, because Sara is meeting everyone from across the political spectrum, then none of them can claim na, Lenny's siding with them against the other side. Right? Kasi ang maging problema is if just Lenny meets people from one side of the whole House of Kasamahan versus House of team or then it will look like she is essentially counterbalancing. But if she meets people from across the political spectrum, then it's much easier for her to just openly say, hindi, wala yan. It's just statesmanship. I'm just being polite, civil. And as Lenny very correctly put it, it's not about the person. Ang usapan po dito is yung respeto sa opisina. That's perfect. That's good. Nevertheless, dito talaga ako naiinis dun sa mga ibang kaibigan natin. Alright? Na napaka-sensitive to any kind of contrarian views, napaka-partisan, almost katulad na nila yung kabilang kampo. Alam mo na, I don't need to name names or use labels and all of that, di ba? At itong mga tao na inaway-away tayo ng ilan na araw, may mga nag-unfriend sa atin, may mga nag-unfollow sa atin, as if naman I care, di ba? Parang, actually, lumaki pa yung following natin ng 2-3. But I didn't need that. Excuse me, right? We were already I already had number 5 top episode in the Philippines on Spotify a week before all of that Sara Lenny thing. But anyway, so there are all of these peoples who have yung mga inggitero, mga narrow-minded people, fanatic people, all of this, like all of this, lower kinds, essentially. So all of these people were making big issue about this. And then yung iba naman, I think, were genuinely, because they're emotionally invested, ganyan, they took it wrongly. At to be fair naman, ako naman, yes, I'm a bit abrasive on Twitter, mga other things, but intention matters. Intention, and my intention was very clear. Sabi ko nga, hindi ang usapin dito yung decency and the good intentions of the former vice president. No question about it. That's why I have all of this respect. This respect for the former vice president. But this is what I was warning about. So kanina lumabas ito. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is from a Twitter source na si Duzix Makina ba. Anyway, I can show you the original source. This is someone who always posts about data, surveys, pollsters. So very respectable person, very respectable source rather. So pinost niya ito after yung meeting ni Mark Oleta at ni Lenny Robredo. At kung titignan mo dito, this is exactly what I was talking about. Kaya nga sabi ko, even if disagree kayo sa sinabi namin, okay, now you want to put me in the same team as Trillanes, whatever, go ahead. But, I think for myself, he thinks for himself, he has his own thing, I have my own thing, right? I never questioned the decency or good intentions of the vice president. My issue was this. na gagamitin ng mga, alam mo na, gagamitin yung meeting niyan para, you know, para sa kanilang political interest. Isi-spin nila yan. Now, obviously, this is not gonna convince the kakampings and all of that. But remember, these people are running for national office. So ang market nila is much bigger eh. So they're projecting this to the non-partisans, median voters na hindi involved in any camp. So this is what I've been talking about all this time na dapat ingat ka rin, especially with yung isang team, Team K1, sabihin natin. Kasi talagang ngayon, dahil marginalized sila, dahil medyo alanganin sila, dahil talagang nahihirapan na sila, walang Duterte tumakbo sa Senate, they are gonna use any meeting with ma'am and try to spin it into something. So again of course yung mga kakamping nga hindi maniwala dito, but remember, hindi naman kakamping based necessarily ang hinabol ng mga taong yan eh. Especially yung mga DDS ngayon, ang hinahabol nila ngayon is projecting strength to the non-partisan median voter. And that's a huge population. Alright, actually, there's huge part. I mean, based on some surveys, up to 40% of voters are non-affiliated. Or actually, even more than 40% of the voters are non-affiliated, meaning they're not invested in Marcoses, they're not invested in Dutertes, they're not invested in opposition or kakamping. So, a lot of these pictures, a lot of these positionings, right, is also for political consumption and also projecting strength, diba? So this is what I've been warning about. Kaya ngayong iba na nagagalit sa atin, I hope you understand. We're looking at weaponization of optics. We're looking at exploitation. We're looking at, diba? Just connect the dots. So ito, I if this is a wrong quotation, please tell me. But I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised because ito, according to this, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but according to this, etong ano na, si Humanot, sabi niya, reading from netizens' reactions on my brief and casual meeting. Oh, talagang uso na yung casual meeting ngayon, with former VP after my trip to Sipokot. Is it correct? Sorry. I now realize how really divided our people are. Reaching out to all our leaders can also be personal. Our ability to show our humanity beyond the realm of politics. How else are we able to exemplify the true meaning of statesmanship if you refuse to extend your hand to all who wants to grasp it? Talagang extend your hands to all who wants to grasp it. I believe unity always begins with a handshake. Yan, talagang, diba? Again, sir, correct me. Sorry if this was a wrong quotation. But what I'm saying, even if hindi totoo, even if this quote were not true, all right, I'm open to be corrected on this. Even if it were not true, katulad ng pinost ko noon immediately, yung mga trolls, queen trolls, yung mga propagandist ni Sara, sorry, ng DDS, sorry. Sorry, of course she doesn't have any trolls. I'm just speaking. They were openly trying to spin yung upcoming meeting or meeting with Lenny Robredo to make it look as if meron na silang counter coalition against PBM. So, ako kasi, binabasa ko yung mga, fina-follow ko itong mga ito, dinabate ko pa yung mga ibang walang iya dyan eh. Binubuking-buking natin yung mga kaewanan, kasyungan nila. You will know this stuff, guys. Kaya nga sabi ko, if you don't know proper political analysis, if you don't see the lay of the land, huwag kang maghanash. Alright? Huwag kang maghanash. Alright? Because kami, trabaho namin titignan lahat ng different components. If you only see one side of the elephant, you're blind. You don't know what an elephant looks like. We look at the full landscape. At sabi ko, medyo alanganin yan, including knowing ano yung nagiging propaganda position. Now, you notice, there was one thing that stands out with the meeting with Sara, which is walang picture na lumabas. And I will tell you what, I would not be surprised na kung may lumabas na picture and smiling and all of that, i-weaponize talaga ng mga DDS yan to make it look, again, not to convince mga kakampings, because kakampings will never vote. Genuine kakampings will never vote for the Dutertes. But to project to the median voter, which is 40-50% population, say, see, mga Duterte, malakas pa rin kami. Bati nga yung ganyan. Lahat kami galit kay Marcos. Alam naman natin si Lenny, You see what I'm saying? This is what we were, at least in my case, I was warning about. Now, Senator Villars speaks for himself on this issue. He has a different angle slightly. But for me, guys, for me, the issue was, even if maganda yung intention ni ma'am, even if this is about statesmanship and all of that, 'di ba? Dapat ingat sa mga yan kasi talaga ano sila eh. In fact, that was also the criticism of me, and this is what I find extremely hypocritical dun sa mga ibang kaibigan natin na dilawan. Na back in the day, they attacked me right and left for debating and really exposing the kasyungan ng mga DDS by saying, "Oh, you're platforming them. Oh, you're you know, you're legitimizing them, normalizing them." And then now when I say actually be careful meeting Sara at this point kasi gagaling nila biglang, "Oh, you're ganun ganun ganun." Yan ang ayoko sa mga iba dyan. Diba? Yan ang ayoko sa iba dyan. So, kaya nga sabi ko, don't be fanatic partisan about this thing. Be politically astute. Kaya nga ginagawa po natin itong mga analysis natin para magkakaroon tayo ng medyo clarity. Para medyo mahusay-husay naman ang pagbasa natin sa politika. Because politics is about optics, guys. Politics is about messaging and communication. Politics is many ways, but especially mga team kadiliman, kasamaan, gamitan ng mga to. Kaya sobrang dapat ingat ka eh. Kaya sabi ko ako, isip ko pag nakikita ko yung mga politika, ano ba dapat ng posture ko? Of course, you always have the option of not posting any picture or anything like that. But anong posture mo? I remember back in the day when Duterte days, absolutely I would never do that. I never do that. The farthest I went was do my Conor McGregor na ganyan, which is completely different, right? MMA fan ako, di ba? But yun nga eh. So, honestly, I'm really, really disappointed dun sa mga toxic, dun sa mga, yeah, honestly, syunga na walang understand. Yung mga iba na, hindi ko alam kung anong problema nila, yung gitara lang siguro. Na, they were attacking us for raising legitimate questions. Legitimate question. And for me, the legitimate issues, ingat lang. Kaya, nagpapasalamat naman tayo na hindi naman nag-release ng any picture. Imagine if there was a picture na smiling yung dalawa, tapos meron lumabas na press release na we had 45 minutes to 1 hour discussion. We discussed the entire state of affairs of the country. Talagang i-weaponize talaga ng kabilang team yan eh. Pero dahil sa, talagang malaking debate na nangyari, I understand I was definitely in the minority on that, but I could also see from tens of millions of engagements and views that many people also silently agreed or could see my point, right? Kasi yun din eh, minsan maraming maingay dyan, pero actually minority lang sila. And that's why I feel encouraged kasi alam ko naman minority lang naman talaga yung mga ibang toxic dyan eh, di ba? I mean, imagine how shunga they're trying to cancel other people by just when just those people are saying ingat lang, pwedeng gamitin yung mga weapons. So this is the classic example I'm talking about, guys. Now, the reason why I didn't criticize when it's the whole team is because um it cancels them out eh, di ba? Kasi kung minute mo yung magkabilang kampo na nag-aaway, then none of them can say you're siding with one of them. So it cancels them out. But if you only meet with one side, or yung one side lang maglabas ng magandang picture, ganun, gagamitin talaga yan. Kaya guys, political communications is everything. Is very, very important. Very important. Kaya nga sa politika, dapat magandang intention mo. You have clear convictions, but you also have to have good communications. Good communications is very, very important. So yun, kaya ang dami na naman nagagalit sa akin, etc. Ayan na naman tayo. Exactly, Exhibit A. This is exactly what I was talking about. Buti nga walang picture and all. Dun sa isa at dami na react tuloy. So, vigilance lang yan. Vigilance lang yan. So, please, don't hate us for understanding the big picture. Kung medyo syunga ka, hindi mo makita mo, problema mo na yan. But don't impose it on us. Kaya sabi ko, you're not gonna force us to be silent on this issue. You're not gonna force us to, you cannot suppress discourse. You cannot suppress us when we know we're right. And now exactly nag-prove na talaga na correct talaga yung warnings namin. But again, thankfully Ma'am Lenny's team, I think, did a very good thing around this, and I think the DDS saw so much backlash and attack and all of that. They immediately distanced themselves. And naalala mo yung letter pa ni Sara na defensive, "Uy, hindi kami desperate, hindi naman kami pumunta doon." So, the fact that they would say that means they were thinking about something before that. And then immediately nung nakita nila nagkaroon ng backlash at hindi mag-work yan, naging defensive sila or actually preemptive sila. So this is what I'm saying, mga kameta. You have to appreciate, okay, objective and proper political analysis. Hindi tayo aangat bilang isang bansa kung hanggang ano lang tayo, kampo-kampo lang tayo, oversensitive tayo, snowflake tayo. Uy, wag mo naman criticize yung ano ko, yung wag ganon, guys. Wag ganon. Wag ganon. Wag ganon. I have criticized all administration from Pinoy to Duterte to BBM, but based on facts on the ground. Based on facts on the ground. And malayong malayo naman yung mga ibang presidente kaysa yung mga ibang presidente. Pinoy has its own shortcomings, but it's incomparable to arguably the worst president we have had, which is Rodrigo Duterte. And now, even if hindi tayo necessarily sold on everything BBM is doing, especially on the domestic front, um, the fact of the matter remains that BBM has to draw the line, and Lenny and other national leaders, kasi the it girl na si Lenny, talagang everyone wants to go and meet her. And I think that's a very good signal. That's a very good signal na may pag-asa ulit na itong embers ng pink movement can be rekindled and revitalized. But dapat very careful. Dapat very careful doing that. And of course, that goes for all of us. That goes for all of us. That goes for all of us. Kaya lahat tayo, inisip din natin, bak bumit ng ganyan. So, even if yung mga, nobody like katulad natin, medyo ingat-ingat lang tayo, di ba? When we deal with politicians and all of that. So, ito yung context. So, I hope now you guys see where I was coming from. Again, I cannot speak for other people, but let me speak for myself. Yun ang sinasabi ko. In fact, if you bother to listen to what I was saying, if you bother to check ang dami kong mga vlogs, writings on this, you would have understood where I was coming from. So I feel vindicated by this. Honestly, even if this were not true, I won't be surprised they would have wanted to do it. So regardless, the argument stands. So I feel vindicated in a sense. But more importantly, I hope this serves as a lesson. Because kung ang mangyayari dito is, pag-criticize mo itong camp, ibabash ka ng big time, i-criticize mo yung isang camp, ibabash ka ng big, you're suppressing conversation. You're suppressing democratic discourse. And I'll be very honest about it, I always expect more from the genuine opposition. I always expect more from kakampings because I know that they are fighting for a more modern, democratic, progressive, pluralistic society. So kaya talagang nadismaya talaga ako doon. Unfortunately, it's not the first time. And then some of the people, may mga repeat offenders doon na every time may ganon, sasakyan nila, atakin tayo, whatever. But, I don't know. I mean, guys, come on. Guys, come on. We have to grow up. And ganito na lang sa akin. Okay naman sa akin if may mali tayong ginawa, constructive criticize me. Okay lang 'yan. Objective respond. Pero I hope guys, even when emotionally you're not comfortable with what I say, remember yung election time, sabi ko, ito yung mga dahilan na hindi nanalo ang opposition. And then I nicely, politely said, of course, if you read my articles, November 2021 pa lang, sabi ko mukhang panalo ng unity, etc. Not because weak si Lenny, but because mahirap nagsama yung dalawa solid north and solid south. So it's just basic arithmetic, no? And trapo politics, let's call it for it. I just hope you guys don't take it against me, diba? I mean, I'm doing my best here to be, to make this as light as possible. So please wag niyong hayaan na yung emotions yung attachment niyo to cloud your judgment on these issues. At the end of the day, if you have proper political analysis, kung naiintindihan mo yung pagtakbo, yung paano tumatakbo ang politika, ano yung mga dynamics niyan, the better chance for you to succeed in pushing for reform, in pushing for good governance. At kung we succeed in pushing for good reforms and governance, then ang laki ng chance natin na baguhin yung bansa natin in the best way possible, di ba? So we need to get the basics right, because if your analysis, parang ano yan my first course was medical sciences. I started in medical sciences. So the first thing you learn in any medical field is, before giving prescription, first properly diagnose anong problema. Because if you don't have a proper diagnosis of the issue and you give the wrong medicine, then you'll have the proverbial medicine that is worse than the disease, or the medicine that kills the patient. So diagnostics is very, very important sa politics also. And you have to have differential objective diagnostics. And then you tether that, idikit mo yan dun sa mga goals na gusto mong mangyari sa bansa. So in a way, I really hope na this quote-unquote Mark Oleta episode reminds people where I've been coming from. Kasi feeling ko talaga sobrang unfair na nangyari. Grabe. Grabe. And then, hindi ko na nang pinatulan yung debate na yan. Hindi ko na binalikan because of obviously Lola was ICU, etc. And I said like, you know what, forget about it. Another day babalikan ko yan. But deep in my heart, I always knew I was right on that issue. Not because I think I'm great and all. No, I make mistakes. All of us make mistakes and all of that. Normal yan. But I just felt on that issue unfair talaga. Sinisuppress talaga tayo. And more than that, that's bad for opposition. If you suppress objective voices that happen to be contrarian to certain line. Hindi ako nagpa-party line. I am my own party, okay? I only care about the national interest here, okay? I care about the realm, all right? The interest of the realm. That's where I come from, all right? So, yun lang. So, thank you so much again sa lahat ng mga nakinig sa atin. Sige nga, kahit yung mga nag-bash sa atin, okay lang yan, okay lang yan. Paminsan-minsan magkakaroon tayo misunderstanding, but I hope now nag-gets you na where I'm coming from. If only some people bother to actually read my stuff, go through my stuff, not be emotional, hindi look at my yabang or pa-cute or whatever, just put aside those superficialities. Just look at the content of ating character and argument. Then you will know where I'm coming from. On that note, maraming salamat. Thank you so much again for this fantastic discussions. As you can see, medyo puffy-eyed ako. I had to get some good rest. I woke up very early, mga 6 a.m. just to get some work done and all of that. So nag-power nap tayo dito, but I'll try to reset my body clock kasi almost 3 weeks na wala tayong matinong tulog dahil pabalik-balik sa Baguio, ICU ni Lola, all of those things. It's really emotionally difficult. I'll tell you what. And of course, I'm worried about a lot of other things. My own life, my own career, there's so many things I'm thinking about. And naturally, I'm a warrior because that's how I'm made of. That's why I can think about all of these political scenarios. That's why I can think of lahat ng pwedeng masamang gawin ng mga tao or ganyan. It's just who I am. Thankfully, I'm trying to reset my body clock and better take care of myself. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for your love and support. And pasensya na lang. If minsan medyo, alam mo na, syempre, tao rin tayo. Minsan napipikan. Kasi you have to understand, I have, a million, let's say, followers online, let's say, on different platforms. And sabihin natin, even if 5% of them comment to me. Like that's 50,000 comments every day coming at me, right and left. So tao lang kapag bukas ko ng gano'n, gusto ko na biglang ganyan, 'di ba? Syempre tao lang tayo, 'di ba? So minsan maybe I also overreact or minsan medyo kanina munting nag-friendly fire na naman tayo, 'di ba? And I do live. I do live. I don't care. Like people are just insulting comment, I just go like that and then patola ganun. Socrates is my idol. You go into the middle of the agora, engage, patola, discourse, debate. That's who I am. That's what a pure philosopher does. Salamat, God bless, and talk to you soon.